Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Duke on Twitch. Today we have another Maverick Joe deck from Patreon, so a huge thank you Joe. This is a pretty cool take on Chainer's Smog Witherbloom Apprentice combo. For those of you who are unaware, Chainer's Smog is a sorcery that says target player discards 2 cards. That player may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. So if you want, you can target yourself and then you get to copy the spell, and you can choose yourself again, copy, again, copy. And of course with Witherbloom Apprentice out, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and when you gain 1 life. So essentially you drain your opponent out by targeting yourself. This does mean, however, that you do go off with an empty hand. So if your opponent has something like a Swords to Plowshares or instant speed interaction, it's going to be a tough time. So what do we want to do? We obviously want to protect Witherbloom Apprentice, and we can do that through Sylvan Safekeeper. You could do it through Mother of Runes, but Sylvan Safekeeper is kind of cool because you can Green Suns for it, and it has some other synergies in the deck by sacrificing lands, which we'll get to, with things like Ramanap, getting back the lands, of course making Elvish Reclaimer a big creature, and just some other small things. Now, this is pretty much a green-black deck with a light splash for white, and that is essentially for Grand Abolisher and Swords to Plowshares in the sideboard. The mana base is pretty nice as well. 23 lands, 2 cradles, which is pretty nice. We have a lot of mana dorks with essentially 2, 4, 6, 8 ways, or 9, 7, 11 ways to accelerate on turn 1, which is fantastic, into Grist, which is pretty cool. So Grist really nice here because it allows us to create a lot of creatures on the board to hopefully turn into Witherblooms with Fiend Artisans, or potentially Safekeepers, or if we need them, cards like Collector Oof or Outland Liberator. So in the main deck we have Snuff Out. Joe was mentioning how he believes that Snuff Out currently is really well positioned, which I definitely agree. So we have Source Barges in the board if we do need them. But Snuff Out allows us to do some pretty cool things like turn 1 acceleration and remove a creature. Playing around Days on turn 1 with removal is really nice. And obviously this build with 3 Bayous, 1 Scrubland, 1 Swamp will allow us to pretty easily cast Snuff Out when we need it. We're not playing Wasteland, and a big reason for that is that the deck can't really tax in other areas as well, like Thalia. It's also really nice just to have a mana base that pretty much can cast anything we need to, outside of, say, the Swamp or sometimes the Cradle or some of the utility lands, but otherwise the mana base is pretty on point. We're kind of just trying to go for the combo ASAP while setting up some sort of protection in Sylvan Safekeeper or Grand Abolisher in the board. Not too much else to say. This is a deck where I feel like Witherbloom fits nicely because it is a Green Suns target. We can find it with Fiend Artisan. If it's not relevant, we can hopefully turn it into something that is relevant. Chainer's Smog is probably the card that I am on the fence about, because obviously in this type of deck, the 2 cards by themselves are pretty bad. You need to have both cards. So potentially something like Sylvan Library would be nice, because then we can hopefully either draw into those cards and have them both at the same time, or C1 like Chainer's Smog and be like, you know what, we're currently not on that plan, let's not get that, let's fetch away the top and then get some fresh cards to draw into. But really interested to see how this performs and goes, because it is a strong combo. It's a nice kind of I win condition, and against some decks they just won't have interaction. So pretty keen to see how that goes. A huge thank you to Joe for the donation list. I'm going to call this Abzam Smog. If you guys like this sort of content, definitely consider following the channel. And until then, we'll see you in round 1. Hey team, welcome to round 1. We are on the draw with a Cradle hand, which is pretty tough. So we are going to mulligan this. Obviously we can't really cast anything here, so pretty happy to move towards a hand where we can. This is still pretty nice. We have the Chainer's Smog and we have Green Suns for Witherbloom. So I think here I'm just going to drop the Ramanap and hope that early yeah, hopefully we can get there. So keep this. Bottom ramming up, we have early mana acceleration into Witherbloom into Chain. Merfolk. Okay. Potentially bounce and potentially dismember as removal, but otherwise we're probably looking pretty good. And that's actually pretty nice as well, Witherbloom off the top. So now we actually just have the combo. Daze is fine. Especially seeing that we have a backup Mana Dork and land in hand. I think we're pretty okay for land at this moment. Also, the Daze does put them back from playing a Lord, and obviously right now something like combat damage is probably where they're going to be wanting to move towards. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. I think here we just want to go for... So we actually have some options here. I was thinking Ignoble Hierarch and Green Suns for Dryad Arbor for 4 mana next turn. We could also go for Sylvan Safekeeper with the Green Suns. I think I'm actually happy to build out the mana and see if they play a Lord next turn. We also have Snuff out for the Curse Catcher in case they want to hit the Chain of Smog. They also Daze the Noble, so I could see them somehow countering this if they really wanted to, like through the Curse Catcher. Yeah. I probably should have obviously played around that a little bit, but at the same time, I don't really mind if they're trading a Curse Catcher for that. I could have gone Green Suns first, have the mana open, and then play Ignobled. Which in hindsight, probably correct. Alright, holding up 2 mana. This might be a Mythic Trickster. That is going to be fine. If we draw a land here, another Chain. I think I will... Obviously Daze is a little bit rough if they Daze the Witherbloom, but we have so many ways to find it through Green Suns, Fiend, etc. Our opponent isn't really putting pressure on, so I could see just playing out the Witherbloom here. But yeah, just a little bit rusty there with the Curse Catcher. Just one of those cards you don't see too often in Legacy, so read your cards. That's all I can say. The nice thing is that Snuff Out really costs 3, because we gain a life back with Witherbloom. We also have just a really strong clock here, so we'll see what our opponent does. I could see a world where this deck plays a second Safekeeper, just to see it more often. Obviously, you could go fully into it and have like Dark Rituals, Thoughtseize, things like that to clear the way or ramp into the combo. But I think for a Maverick style deck that has the combo in it, this is a nice start to go off with. Opponent probably thinking, can they tap out here? And no, they can't. Which is quite nice. I think that's a great... It's a great thing to put into your opponent's head in Magic. Make them scared of tapping out. And that's something that Maverick doesn't typically have. But here we do. Big thing. Obviously, like a True Name here would be great for them, just to get some more pressure on the board, but obviously tapping out as well. With 2 cards left, maybe it's forced blue card, but even if it's forced blue card, we have the second Chain if we draw into another land. But Merfolk, not a deck you typically see anywhere in Legacy, which is really sad. As a creature player, I love seeing tribal decks. Merfolk one that was around a lot when I got into Magic. True Name was a really nice printing for them. Some really cool versions with like Vial into Standstill, then you have Mutavaults to attack with. Obviously you have creatures coming in off the Vial as well. It can be a really quick deck sometimes, and catch people off guard by how quick it can actually be. Just checking to see if they're still good, but hey, a big thank you for you coming in and watching. Of course, if you like this content, definitely consider subscribing. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Dukes on Twitch. You can find my Discord below, and also, of course, links to the Green Sun Zenith. Alright. Still fine. Liberator's kind of cool. Now we get to pass with Snuff Out open. We have an out to like Chalice for 2, if that's a thing. I think landed a Chalice for 2 if they are a Chalice version is probably the best thing they can do. Master's fine, they only have 1 card left. Tide. So here we just want to use Snuff Out on the Master, I assume. Doesn't really matter because of the chain. Like, we still have a black source through this. Yeah. So. Thankfully, all in all, we just win here, which is exactly why we play this list. I think they probably attack here with both. Just keep the pressure going, yeah. There's no point not to. Alright, so just to confirm here, we have Chain of Smog, target player discards 2 cards, that player may choose new copies. So we go Chain of Smog, target us. We get a copy. Same targets. Do you wish to copy? Yes, same targets. And here we go. Nice little combo. Alright, thank you, opponent. We had the combo and they just conceded, which is really nice. Didn't make us click through it. Blue. So we like Swords to Plowshares, we like the Plague Engineer. The Veils are interesting. I don't mind the Veils. And potentially the Grand Abolisher. But we'll see how that goes. The Collector Oof I can see coming out. Like, Vial is a thing, but not too relevant. Always pretty tough. Snuff Outs are great. The Ramen Up can easily come out. The Endurances can most likely come out as well. Although they are good blockers, it's not really where we want to be. Cabal's interesting, especially if they're bringing in some sort of removal. I could see myself going down on just a little bit of land, like Caracas is pretty dead. Reclaimers are still fine, the Mana Accelerations, Outland Liberator is fine just to have. The Oof can come out. Maybe the swords aren't needed as much. Maybe like taking out 2 Snuff Outs, 4/3 swords is fine. Just to have some consideration for their lords. I could also just see this. Like, the Cabals aren't as great. I don't really know what Merfolk is playing these days, so I think this is fine. Alright. Yeah, a great hand. Let's be honest, turn 1 acceleration, turn 2 plague, we have one piece of the combo. Reclaimer also gets rid of islands that they might turn our lands into, which means they don't have island walk. Right. Grist is pretty good as well. Let's go for Bayou as it turns on Snuff Out into Noble Hierarch here. Wow, aggressive Dismember. That makes me think they do have another piece for the combo, but you never know. Now we have Reclaimer hold up swords, and also Snuff Out to some extent. No third land. Okay. No third land for us either, but this is pretty nice. Safekeep is huge with Witherbloom in play. I also probably want to throw the Grist into a Daze next turn if we find a third land, not the Plague Engineer just yet. But the role of this Snuff Out and Swords are most likely for Lords, to make sure we keep all the other X1 Plague Engineers or Merfolk off the board, thanks to Plague Engineer. Force Pitch Daze, alright. 2 cards left, pretty happy to attack here because we have the Snuff Out and Swords in case of a blocker, and we're not using it with only 1 mana open. I don't think they have Silvergill Adept because they would have obviously put that in to try to find a land, but here is a Lord. Pretty happy just to allow this. Stays at 2. Attack. No blocks. Did they put anything in? No. I think this I'm happy to Snuff Out. Curse Catcher's going to be fine. They have 1 card left. Okay. Pretty happy just to lead on Grist. This is counter target instant or sorcery. Actually. Yeah, I'm going to actually hold that back. I was thinking of an attack, but I kind of like just if the Grist survives a turn, it just takes over. This also means I could like double block a Lord if needed. They kept the Violet 2 even though they had 2 lands, which is pretty interesting. That made me think they had another 2-drop in hand. Or maybe they just want to keep it for something like a Trickster. Okay, that's pretty good. Start off with this. They have 2 cards here. Even if it's force blue card, we get to start attacking in. We milled a Veil, we milled a Bog, that's fine. Get to attack with both. We have the swords open as well. I think at this spot I'm happy just to swords this. Before it gets +2/+2, or +1/+1. But now we just have a really nice board. We have Grist taking over. We have Plague Engineer keeping things off the board. Insects to throw away at creatures they do put into play. Witherbloom, of course, coming down soon. So yeah, a pretty tough one for Merfolk there, but pretty nice to get off the board and take that down. So nice. We'll see you in the next one. Hey team, welcome back for round 2 up against Rudder. This is a one-lander with a lot of ways to accelerate, so I don't mind keeping this. We also have something like Endurance to pitch if it is an unfair deck. But I could see a world where you try to go towards a 2-lander. Cradle up the top would be huge. We could go turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Cradle into 2 creatures and then hold up 3, which could just be another Reclaimer. And Fiend Artisan or hold up Endurance. Obviously a creature-based hand is going to be rewarded very well by a Cradle draw, but it's really nice to have that on the line. Also cool to have a new card where the name of another card is inside of it. So obviously Noble Hierarch is on this card. I know there are a few of those around Magic. I think someone on Twitter the other day pulled them all up, which is pretty cool. Sand's also quite good for Fiend. Like we can just start deploying things into Fiend Artisan, which is really nice. Delver, okay. Off an island, which is really interesting. Okay, that's one half of the combo. I'd probably rather the black mana here, so I'm actually going to go with the Noble first. Luckily they can't Bolt and Wasteland this turn, if that was something they were thinking about. So we most likely get to untap with at least one piece of mana here. Ponder chose to shuffle. Okay, there's Wasteland, that's going to be fine. Verdant. Alright, I think here we're going to go for Bayou. And then I'd rather have the mana online, so we'll go with Ignoble first to play around Days. And then we'll play a Reclaimer. Nice. We also have a blind flip here on the Delver. It flips into Preordain. There's a Volk. DRC is going to be fine. Preordain is fine. I think next turn we're probably just throwing this Endurance in at our main phase 1. One top, one bottom. That's really nice. That allows us to play around Days here. I will fetch first. Just go for Savannah. And then we have some options. We have access to 4 mana. So we could Fiend Artisan and also Reclaimer. I don't mind attacking first.
could also just hold back and get Cradle. Huh. That's actually really interesting. Hold back and get Cradle. Yeah, I could play Fiend Artisan and hold up Cradle. That's pretty good. I think that might actually be the case. Okay. Now the question is, do I want to throw away this endurance? And I don't think I do just yet. But I could. I could endurance them, throw away the Reclaimer. That also keeps like a Murktide off the bin. Taking 6 here, going to 8 does just turn on like Bolton and Delver, so I think I actually might. This means we can now block this, which if they have a land into Bolt, not the worst. I also meant to get Cradle there, I apologize. I actually don't mind just going land into Smog here. Make them discard too. But now that we have 5 mana, we can even Green Suns for endurance around days, so I think I'm happy to start attacking with the Reclaimer. But yeah, just like little things there, like not getting the Cradle of course does change what's on top as well, so maybe it's not the forest that we draw into. They bottomed a Bolt. I guess that means they could potentially find a Bolt thanks to the Delta finding Mystic Sanctuary that we just put back into the deck. I think here I'm happy to attack for 2. Hold the Caracas as an unknown, and then if needed, Reclaimer can go and get a Jukabog. This is fine. But if they fetch straight away, I'm pretty happy just to bog in response to keep Murktide off the table. which means they won't have access to Mystic Sanctuary either, which is nice. Yeah. Okay. Force and preordain. Question is, do I want to chomp? Oh, they didn't even attack there. That's interesting. I would have attacked there for sure. What are you scared of? I still think the two-tone clock is fine. Dried Arbor is something that can block the DRC potentially, but obviously here Bolt and Delver do just do it. All sorceries in the bin, I believe, so far. Sorcery creature, artifact. They just need to find a fetch land. Right. Can we get rid of the DRC? Tough. Okay. Delver. We like the swords, we like the veils, the endurance. I don't mind the plague on the play. I don't like the collect oof, the outline liberator, the safekeeper. The combo is an interesting one. Probably not, just because of the amount of removal they actually have. But that does leave one card. Grander Belcher could be annoying. Witherbloom just as a one-of could also just keep them on their toes, but... I don't mind one. Yeah. Tough though. Maybe it's worth keeping in some part of the combo, but they're obviously dead cards, so happy to keep this. Turn 1 Reclaimer. Snuff out swords. Tough because we can't play Reclaimer off a Savannah to cast the swords and also have Snuff out open. But I think in this spot I'm happy to probably just get a Bayou. And then if needed we can get a fetch land down the line with the Reclaimer. Opponent goes to 5 cards. I definitely don't want to snuff out into days either, so pretty happy just to pass that around. Wow, Force, that was aggressive. Okay. Pretty happy to bog early. We could endurance pitching the Green Suns to get Fiend Artisan into play, but I don't think that's worth it. It would make it a 3-3, but even then... I think we have a lot of time, so... I guess to play it on the safe side, you could fetch a Forest first up, and then use Reclaimers to try to get your mana online, but of course if a Reclaimer gets taken out, then you're left with just a basic Forest, which doesn't cast your Snuff Out or Swords. I think now, sadly, we just have to. Tough. Bottom of Submerge, I get there isn't a Forest in play, which is pretty funny. Okay. I mean, if we could turn this Dried Arbor to 3-4 mana into a Plague Engineer, would be okay. But yeah, keeping with the Brainstorm is obviously gonna, yeah. That's tough. No great blocks here either. They're down to 0 cards, so that's quite nice. Okay. Grist Tick Up, I think, is better here than anything else. There goes the Plague Engineer, unfortunately. Just our luck. Tough. Just one of those matches where you just get dealt with. There's not much you can do. Right, there goes Grist. Ah, oh, there we go. I meant to fetch there first, sorry. So let's go for Scrubland. It allows us to Swords one, Snuff the other. But still, being at 6 is very different to anything else, especially against Bolt. Now we need to find a land to try to Green Suns for. I feel like they have Bolt, and we know about the Brazen, which is really tough. And Green Suns for 2 doesn't get a whole lot. Like Witherbloom still puts us back up to 3, which is in Bolt range, but I think in that case I'd rather keep the Green Suns for like endurance down the line. Really tough. If they attack the Grist or me. Yeah, they attack me. Yeah. Tough. Alright. We'll see you in the next one. Hey team, welcome back. We're on the play. We're going to keep this. We have acceleration into Fiend or Ramanap. We have one piece of the combo and also removal, which is great. So let's go with probably Savannah here. Getting Dried Arbor off the Verdant might make sense if we draw into a Cradle. I guess I could have also just held up Snuff Out on turn 1, but we didn't. Okay, this makes me think it's going to be potentially some sort of combo deck if it's just Ponder off a basic island, which makes me want to go for Fiend here. Potentially turning a creature into Collector Oof here is best. If it's Show and Tell, I think just Witherbloom is best. But I guess we'll see off this land. If it's a Volk. Plains. Okay. Prismatic Ending. Sure. Oh, there's Chain. Alright. I think then this turn we just go Ramanap, get back a land, and then see if they tap out next turn. the Ponder gonna do? They obviously don't see this coming, which is nice. I don't think many decks would. But yeah, that Delver game, I feel like just little things. Little things always add up. Just tough. Just passing. Two mana instant speed. Pretty happy to just get another Bayou here. Bog them. Attack. And then play out the Fiend. And then next turn potentially just try to go off with Witherbloom and Chain. Like a Verdict here would be fine. Next turn we actually have, with the Verdant coming back, we have access to 6 mana, which is 2 for Fiend, turn Ignoble Tyrok into Safekeeper, 2 for Witherbloom, and then 2 for Smog, which is pretty cool. This doesn't seem like a matchup where I need to snuff out, like maybe Mentor, potentially this is like a Stifle Nord deck. I probably wouldn't mind having one Wasteland in the deck as just a tutor target. This feels like a Prismatic ending for 3 potentially. And then thinking about swords here. Potential in the ramming up so I don't get back to Verdant. Get back this. Play this. Combat. Trying to like squeeze out a swords here? No. Okay. Well, they're at 11, so I actually don't mind just passing here. And there it is, yeah. Okay, this is the new card. So Staff of the Storyteller is a 2-mana artifact. When it comes into play, create a 1/1 white spirit token. Whenever you create one or more creature tokens, put a story counter on Staff, and then you can remove a story counter from Staff to draw a card. Happy to get this. Happy just to take out the spirit token. This is fine. This is fine. they've already gone through one swords. I think now I'm okay to try to go for it while they're tapped out. This means in their 4 they have to have Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Oh, blue? Maybe they're trying to find a Force of Will? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You love to see it. You love to see it. Okay, we're looking at a blue deck, so I don't mind the Veils, the Grand Abolisher. The Cabals are actually quite nice. The Oof can come out, even though we saw that thing in play. Outland Liberator I don't mind in case they're playing something like Back to Basics. Grists are great. Ramanap is fine, but I think it can come out in this matchup. Safekeeper, Noble Hierarchs are fine. I could see myself dropping down on them because of things like Supreme Verdict, but with Cradle in the deck, it's hard to do that. Like you could go down to like one Cradle and then like 2 of these, like Noble, Ignobled, Cradle. Snuff Outs I can definitely see coming out, and just having Grist as the main one. Maybe I will just like bring in one more Ignobled, which is also good for Cabal Therapy, let's be honest. Liberator, Fiends. I think this is fine. Agent's interesting as well. Maybe that over the 4th Endurance. That's just like a maybe. Great Hand. Turn 1 Ignobled, turn 2 Therapy. I might even lead on a Noble Hierarch to have the black mana, hopefully through removal. Okay. I think the upside of just being able to Cabal next turn is just much better. And we do have Reclaimer and Nobles down the line to find other things. Other sources of black mana, sorry. Okay. That's still fine. We get to double spell this turn, which is nice. We also get to potentially hold the Cabal until we want to go off with the combo, if we do want to go off with the combo. Okay. Happy to play Artisan and then just attack with the Ignoble. Probably turn the Savannah into a fetch land. But obviously don't want to go overboard into a Supreme Verdict. The fetch straight away makes me think that they're on Supreme Verdict here, especially the other planes as well. Yeah. So here we probably will just turn Savannah into a fetch land. Drew the Dried Arbor, nice. Probably Scrubland here. Cabal them. Name Swords to Plowshares. Containment Priest, Force, Shark. The Shark is kind of annoying. And I think it's worth actually grabbing. The Priest is whatever. It does turn off the Cradle, but we still have mana for the Witherbloom anyway, so not too unhappy. Happy to throw this into Force. Playland and pass. So we know about the Containment Priest and one other card. Shurikai is pretty good, especially with stuff. Grist is pretty sweet. Then we're just sixing. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures in the bin. This obviously works really well with the staff as well, because you get to draw a card. Probably makes me think towards Force of Vigor post-board if there is another game. Like they're already at 6 cards. They have 1 card open. Okay. I think here we just try to Green Suns for another Grist. Okay. Humility as well. Yeah, definitely worth having Force of Vigor in the deck. That's a yikes. Pilots and Spirits. Probably should wait till I have a black source as well, but I think at this stage with so much card advantage that it's just going to run out anyway. That we have to get pretty lucky here. And with only 1 black source, I obviously need a top deck of black source as well. They have swords. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Probably going to take out an endurance. I don't think Collector Oof is good, even though they have all these artifacts that obviously do things. Collector Oof is just so easy to get rid of. I could have actually returned that. I probably should have. I guess we can do it now. Probably actually don't want to show Veil at this point. Just a big shark. Yeah. Alright. Forces for sure. Endurance out. Probably opposition agent. We know about Verdict as well, so I think we'll go for 3-2 with 1 Cradle. Probably a Snuff Out, seeing that it kills opposition agent. Yeah. Okay. All right. Shuko and that other card are gas. Nice. Pretty happy to keep this. Turn on acceleration. I also don't mind leading on Reclaimer here. Just to eat some sort of removal. And then the next time we can play Ignobled and then Grist in with Veil open. Okay. The old Island Ponder. Chose to not shuffle. Okay. Ignobled into attack with Veil up. Just a pass. Holding up Dress Down, holding up Containment Priest. There's a few things here. Ooh. Hello. Tap like this. Grist. Brainstorm's good. That makes me think they're trying to find a force. Or moving towards a world where they counter Grist. Ooh, nice. Ooh, and they pitch Fluster. And they also... Oh my gosh. So now they don't have the Fluster or the blue mana. That's pretty nice. Ooh. Prismatic's okay. We got value off that. I think it's still swords here, and then if they have something like Supreme Verdict, we can of course get rid of it. Oh, we hit. Oh, and it's Supreme Verdict! Look at that! Look at that! So good. Exactly what we wanted. Attack for 2. Called shots. That leaves them with just 2 lands. I think in this case, I'm happy to hold up and just get Cradle end of turn. Getting rid of maybe the Peat land? I think it actually is the Peat land, because I want double white for the Grand Abolisher. I want double black for both Witherbloom and Chain. Chase is pretty good. I think it is the Peat land that we get rid of. Attack Chase, hold up Endurance, I think is the play here. Chase does a lot here. Really resets kind of where they're positioned. Especially with that fetch land as well. Not just being Brainstorm locked. This still taps for 1. Okay. Staff is annoying. Do I want to 1-for-1 trade that? I think I do. Just now. Before they get to tap it. Tech Jace, they lose the spirit. And now I think it is just hold up Endurance. As just a second creature that can Potentially even fight through a Supreme Verdict. But not being able to kill the Jace has been pretty huge. They have 2 cards left. I don't really want to target anyone, I don't think. They could be... I think they are playing Mystic Sanctuary, though, so... potentially. I don't mind actually casting Grand Abolisher now. It kind of forces them to do something. And then we know if we want to attack with just the Hierarch or the Endurance. This plays around like Swords to Plowshares to some extent. I guess they do get a creature from this. Like this would have been a sweet moment for Opposition Agent, most likely. I think here as well we just have to name Supreme Verdict again with Cabal Therapy in case they found one. Double Swords. Well, in that case, I think here we get rid of the Endurance. And at least the trade is quite nice. They do have Shark Typhoon. They do have to find an out to the Grand Abolisher, because that could just be it if we do find a chain off the top. That's the hard part. This is the section that I'm talking about where we don't have a way to find chain. We don't have a way to dig for chain other than nurturing peatland, which is in the bin, so it's just a matter of what's on top of the deck. Tough one for sure. Feels a little bit like they're digging. Okay, there they go. One card left for them. Nothing great to Green Suns for. We get to play Witherbloom. And then I think it might just be trying to go for Safekeeper here. I think that's better than anything else. Honestly, they could even start hitting us with look at the top card and get into a really good position. Because it's really just Chain potentially that they lose to. There's not too much else they have to worry about. There should be each player. Whenever a player casts. Come on, Magic. Come on, Design. I think from here that is a pretty clear GG. But we might as well take one more draw step and see how it unfolds. But they even have like Jace Bounce if they really need to. I guess like it doesn't do anything because we could get back potentially with like Jace Bounce if we play it and then draw into Chain of Smoke, but just way too many cards, and no interaction is really tough on us. Like, having to 1-for-1 the first Shurikai is probably where we maybe had to let them have that and then make sure we get a 2-for-1. Yeah. Right. We will see you in the next round. Hey team, welcome back. We are on the draw with a pretty okay hand. We have a turn 2 potential Grist. We have some interaction otherwise, so pretty happy to keep this. The Bog's a little bit awkward here, coming in tapped, but I think on the draw this is a hand that has a bit of a plan going for it. Turn 1 Noble. Probably hopefully turn 2 Grist, turn 3 Ramunap, get back a land. Ramunap quite nice with Grist as well. Turn 1 Ponder. That makes me want to go towards a forest, just in case it is Delver. They chose to not shuffle. Okay, the bauble definitely gives away that it's going to be a Delver deck. Okay, we actually drew the forest. That's actually quite nice. Leaves us with the Verdant. Opponent may be thinking, do I want to daze this? Do I want to swords it? They choose to daze. They leave the bauble around. I'd love to actually grab the bauble with this Bojuka Bog potentially. Just to take it away from turning a DRC into a 3-3. But I think if this hand was going to be close to good against Delver, this would want to be a Mana Dork. Just to try to keep mana flowing and then also try to get endurance online. Ramunap's okay, but without Wasteland, of course, it's not really for this matchup. I honestly don't mind just going for the Swamp here, and then just playing out the Liberator. It also kind of forces them onto using the Bauble potentially. If it, pulls out a Daze, I'm more than happy. This doesn't really have a role in this matchup, so the tempo of a Daze here is more than fine. Also nice to have the Swamp in play, which means that Snuff Out is just online no matter what. Fetchland into Murktide would be a little bit tough. But we do have Grist down the line potentially for that. Okay. Well, now we have a nice play of this next turn. Attack with Outland Liberator, play the Bojuka Bog, take out their graveyard, and then following turn, hopefully cast Grist around Daze. One piece of the combo is always nice. I could be really aggressive and pop, but I'm pretty happy just to bog them. And then pass with the Outland Liberator turning into potentially a 3-3. Could be relevant against Unholy Heat, but no threat yet. I'm starting to think this is like a show and tell deck potentially with just baubles in the deck, but it surely is Delver. It's just weird for Delver not to have a threat on board by turn 4. They had the days as well. Yeah, it surely is Delver. There we go. Okay. Another bauble. Okay. Sack 1, target me. Nice. Start with attacking. And then we're just going to sorcery speed and endurance. I might actually see in their upkeep if they do flip the bauble to see if I can stack the triggers of Delver. Yeah. So actually in response to this, I'm just going to fetch. Get a Savannah, I think. And cast Endurance. Could have also done this after they targeted me. They actually targeted me, so yeah. The fetch means that I could have hid what we were going to draw. But here we are. They can stack the bauble trigger on top. I'm gonna brainstorm, okay. Here we're most likely just blocking with the endurance in case something weird happens. Like potentially Brazen Burrower Wasteland us. Try to keep us off that extra land. Or that extra green source for endurance. No flip. Wow. Did not expect that. $3. Okay. I have some options here. We could go Ramanap into second land into Excavator. We could also just cast another Endurance. Like if they have a bounce spell and attack for 9, that's pretty brutal. Double black here is kind of tough because we can't Endurance and Reclaimer. But I do think here we just want a sorcery speed Endurance. Target them. Pass back. Triple Delver is pretty scary. I believe they know the top card, but if they don't flip, they can fetch. Okay, Spell Pierce is fine. Thankfully, this is a creature on this stack, and so it can't be Spell Pierced. They probably get rid of that, to be fair, as well. Yeah, they do. Forked Bolt would be pretty cool here for my opponent if they attack with everything. And then Forked Bolt the Endurances. Oh, they're just going to double bolt? I mean, that's more than fine as well, let's be honest. Okay. 2 Delvers and 2 Bolts with 2 Endurances, I'll take that. Oh, okay, they have 1 card left? Probably not just yet. So let's go for Ramanap. Get back a land. Fetch. Savannah. Reclaimer. I think the best draw is just Green Suns, because then we have 6 mana again, 2 for Witherbloom, 2 for Chain, 2 for Green Suns for Safekeeper. Chose to not shuffle. Oh, they're tapped out. Were they going for Murktide? Okay. That's going to be fine. Feels pretty good, especially when they just spent 2 bolts on the Endurances. It's actually come up a lot in Game 1s so far this league. Been pretty... I haven't been unhappy with it as just a win gun, but I would like to work in a way to dig for Chain, whether that's Sylvan Library or something to that agenda. I guess you could play is it Profane Tutor? That could be interesting. Opponent can go through it, which is fine. I mean, we are 6 minutes up on the clock, so shouldn't matter too much. You gotta love it. Alright. Boarding for this is going to be pretty interesting. We've already played against it, and obviously we went down, so we want to do well this time around. Alright. We love the Endurances, we love the Swords to Plowshares. They're pretty easy picks. I don't mind the Veils, but we'll see how that goes. I also like showing the combo and then just not having it game 2 is pretty nice. I don't mind that. And then doing something like Collect Oof out, Fiend, maybe just having the Plague. Like I don't mind that. And then we just have like a nice clear direction of what we want to do. I could see 1 over the Safekeeper, but I think overall we just want to be more of a control what's on the board and then beat down with little creatures. Try to get these Fiend Artisans to be pretty large. And hey, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. If you're a subscriber, a huge thank you. If you're not, definitely consider it. This deck's been pretty fun, to be honest. But yeah, I'd love to now like make a list with like 4 Witherbloom, 4 Chain, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Snuff Out, probably Acceleration, so 4 Ignobled. Like you could not play the white. Like you could just play another Safekeeper if you really wanted to have a Grand Abolisher. I feel like they do the same thing. And I know that Joe did talk about how Grand Abolisher doesn't play around things like Otawara, which bounce and obviously aren't cast, but Safekeeper does, which is pretty interesting. But having a good think. This weekend as well, we have the Legacy Weekend. Kind of need a better name for it, but I don't mind it. So, for those of you who are unaware what that is, it's going to be pretty much a massive weekend of co-streams with some of Legacy's biggest names, which is cool. So, Brian Koval, Cal Smith, Matt Vuk, Sahar, Connery Knox, Connor False, Tom Hepp. A weekend of good magic with good people, and I'm really keen to get that going. But it's gonna be a big weekend. That's 7 streams in 3 days, which is pretty crazy. But I like Legacy. You guys like Legacy? I'm all about it. All right, let's get this Delver player. Really want mana and removal. That's all I want. 3 lands, 1 piece removal, 1 mana accelerant. 3 lands, 1 mana accelerant, 1 piece removal. Three lands, 1 mana accelerant, kinda 1 piece removal. There's no white mana, but I think this is still fine, especially on the draw. If this was a 6, I would definitely keep this without the sword, so I'm happy to keep this. I could also lead on the Nurturing Peatland if I really want to keep the Bayou for Snuff Out, but we actually have the Swamp for that, so we will just go Bayou into Reclaimer. Alright, no turn 1 play is pretty great. This Reclaimer is probably dying to a Lightning Bolt, but that's okay. I don't think there's really another hand you keep that doesn't have a turn 1 play, unless it has Bolt. I could see now just like Ponder Wasteland. There's Wasteland. TLC. Okay. A little bit more of a threat. Fetch land is perfect. Pretty happy just to get rid of this DRC right now. If they want a daze, that is fine. Even a wasteland here, we still have 3 lands to go about our business. So I think off the top, another removal spell wouldn't be too bad, but I would actually love a mana accelerant, as A, it allows us to get closer to playing around days, and B, obviously with Grist, it's really nice to be able to just trade a mana dork for an actual threat. Gonna play the Bayou out as well. I think that playing the Swamp shows weakness in our mana base. And I think by playing the Peatland, it just might deal us a little bit too much damage, even if it's only 1 or 2, when we don't really need to. So we'll see if our opponent has a fetch land here. I think something like Vulcan to Creature would be pretty big for us. Like missing on that shuffle is pretty huge. They could also land into Ponta to get the shuffle. A few things to consider. Bulk. Bauble. So no DRC, or else they would have played the Bauble after. They see what's on top of our deck. Okay. That's nice, because like they now think that potentially this Bayou is that Bayou. So not too unhappy with that. Potentially Brainstorm, okay. Yeah, it's still potentially a Murktide this turn. Which isn't the worst. Like, next turn, I would love to be able to just Endurance and throw that away. There is a world where we just throw out the Grist into Daze instead of the Endurance, but I think just that extra turn of giving them their graveyard for Murktide is a pretty big no-no. Kind of really thinking that Brainstorms as well. I would have loved to have actually drawn into a I hope they hit the Bayou here. Okay. No threat. Still good for us. We can just churn through a library. See what we draw into. Reclaim is really nice, and now it's a 3/4. So that's even better. That could also just buy some time and find a Bajuka Bog if I really need to. It's also a creature on the field to throw to Grist. Feels like a Murktide, which isn't too bad. Well, it's just going to be a Ponder. Maybe they're going to Ponder into Murktide. Here we go. Turn 5 Murktide isn't too bad, let's be honest. It'll be a 7/7, I believe. 6/6. Okay. Another Grist. Well, now I'm pretty happy just to throw a Grist down. Grist is pretty huge if it resolves. I assume not at this stage. They haven't countered anything yet. Definitely bolted. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Still, next time we get to play the Grist around days if needed, which is cool. Obviously no great attacks. So. No second Murktide, or they would have cast it in the pre-main phase to get more damage through this Murktide. So we go down to 13. Which is nice, it does give us some room to play around with, but the Nurturing Peatland would take us down to 12, which isn't great. Charter Course, okay. 2 cards left for my opponent. Land. Grist. Nice. I guess they could have a bounce spell on the Reclaimer here. That would be a little bit annoying. What'd they fetch? Stifle? Why'd they fetch? That turns off I guess that means they're not playing Sanctuary? And being at 13 life here is really nice. Wow, nothing? See if they want to counter this. No, okay. Pretty happy here to keep the Green Suns around, I think. I could also go for a Mana Dork. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to keep it. There's a world where they have just like hardcast Brazen Burrower. Okay. There goes Christ. We do have another through the Green Suns, which is nice. Could also just go with Endurance this turn. I don't mind that. Turning off the graveyard's pretty nice. I think that's actually just the play. Could do it like in their upkeep or draw step, I guess. They're gonna force it. Okay. That's fair. I'm pretty happy to cash in this Nurturing Peatland, so I'm actually going to do it now in case we draw into Snuff Out. I obviously don't want to take the 3, then draw into Snuff Out, and then have taken the 3 when I didn't need to. We still have 4 mana to Green Suns for Endurance here. Okay, that's pretty good as well. Just need to fade once. They have 1 card left. Nice. I think here I actually kind of like Fiend Artisan. Daze is okay. But we do need to find a white source. Don't really care about that, which is good. Okay. Doesn't change the clock. And it isn't a white source, which is relevant. But we are thankfully out of bolt range for now. Next time I will attack with both as well, just in case they have like a lightning bolt effect. I think it would go at us, but it just keeps the 3 damage going through, and if they do like bounce this, we still get 1 through, and vice versa. Okay. Now they have 0 cards in hand, so I think now we just attack with the Witherbloom. I just hope they miss off the top, but Delver, so few options. Another DRC, okay. Oh, is there a way we could get Plague Engineer potentially? Ramanap. Oh, that's the white source. Plague Engineer is in the deck. Fairy Rogue, Human Shaman, tough. What if we attack with everything? They take 3 and go to 1? And then we cast the swords. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is pretty cool. So we get to go play Ramanap. Oh no, but we're at 1. Oh yes, but there's a Savannah there, so that's all good. We don't have to fetch. Get back to Savannah. And then we attack with everything. And then the swords trigger. The trigger of Witherbloom resolves before the swords. Yeah, for some reason I thought that would just... Yeah, of course. Well, now I think it's actually better to swords my Fiend Artisan to stop Borrower from just being a threat. Just so, like, Bolt doesn't kill me. And doing it now so they can't, like, bolt me in response. This also puts them in a really tough spot because they have to block now a lot of our creatures. They can't just block one. Like Murktide by itself doesn't do it because this can't block. Can only block creatures with flying. So if Murktide blocks this, they can't block these two, of course, which is lethal. Ponder only gets one card as well. Yeah, nothing. Nice. Take that, Delver. We'll see you in the next one. Hey team, welcome back for round 5. I've gone to gym. I'm in a new mindset. We're 2-2. We can finish this off on a high. This is a one-lander with no mana dorks. I'm pretty happy to mulligan this, but an extra land, I would keep this, and I probably wouldn't mind which card I dropped for the land, but obviously that's not where I want to be. No land, so easy mull, but this is actually a hand I would keep with one land, especially with these 3 cards. If one of the Fiend Artisans was a fetch, this is a pretty good keep. Just because of the way you can accelerate, you have removal, you can 2-spell straight away, most likely, given that they're most likely in a creature deck, but you never know. Opponent's gone to 6 as well. We're going to mulligan. I think we do keep this, but it's not that great, of course. We're going to drop a Bayou and a Forest, I guess. Just in case this is like a Blood Moon deck, I don't mind dropping the Bayou. Actually, the Dried Arbor here. I think this is fine. Okay. So this is going to be Belcher. Okay. Going down game 1 is fair enough, you know. I think playing a Maverick deck or a Fair deck in Legacy, you just have to say, these decks are in Legacy, it's part of the metagame. Sometimes you just come up against them and you don't have what you need. Which, honestly, a good hand isn't going to have too much anyway. Okay. Sadly, no Wasteland here. That would be really good. I'm just going to play the Verdant and pass. It gives away the least amount of information. We know that the Dried Arbors at the bottom, so I'm not going to grab that. I am going to... Oh, this is actually pretty interesting. I could play Bog here to take out the Rider Flame, so that Rider Flame isn't an option. I can also just go for Witherbloom into Chain of Smog off the top, and I think that's what we're going to do, let's be honest. So we're actually just going to show like we're a Golgari deck, which is fair enough. And then see if we can combo off before them. I'm going to say it's pretty low, given that they have 3 cards. Ah, there it is. I guess I should have actually not revealed, but that's all good. So we are most likely playing against, obviously, a pretty insane deck. I don't mind having the opposition agent just in case they play empty. The Endurances don't do a whole lot. The Veils don't do a whole lot. I guess if they have bounce, but I don't think they typically have bounce. Mind of a Kid. So they look to just play a bunch of like combo decks. I don't think they've played this deck yet. Cabal's not too bad. The Snuff Outs are easy drops. The Collector Oof is great. The Liberator's great. The Gryphs are too slow. The Safekeeper is too slow. Maybe Agent. I guess it hits Land Grant. That's about it. Endurance, like maybe a Rider, maybe hitting Rider Flame. Ramanap's way too slow. I think it's just something like this. Just trying to think. They're going to win through either Belcher or potentially empty the Warrens. We don't have much for either. We did see Taiga. They didn't usually have hand disruption, so I don't think we need Veil, but I don't know why I'm thinking about Veil here. Is there a reason? Bounce? Did they play Bounce? I'm just going to submit, and hopefully this is good enough. We want to have turn 2 Green Suns for Teeg. This is not it. This is turn 1 Reclaimer, turn 2 Cabal, maybe Flashback. I don't like this hand. Okay, this is a bit better. It's obviously quite slow, but turn 2 Fiend into potentially a creature off the top as a turn. I think the issue here is that I actually don't understand what my opening hand should be in this matchup. I'm not sure what I really want. I think Force of Vigor is fine. There's no Deafening Silence. There's no Thought Seizers. Cabal's okay. I think it really is probably just this, seeing that we have both Force and Endurance as free spells with either pitching one of each. So I think we do keep this and bottom the Caracas. And then we just lead on Bayou. And then having the chain is quite nice because it just is one half of the combo. Hey chat, if you can think of a card that allows me to fetch for this, other than Profane Tutor, let me know. I'd love to know of a way to search for Chain of Mog in this style of deck. Like when a creature comes into play, search your library. Maybe Transmute? Does Transmute work for a 2-mana spell? Like Muddle the Mixture? No. I feel like that gets Doomsday. I'm gonna have a quick look. Oh, and that's actually okay. So this is actually pretty interesting and something that I should have picked up on. They discarded Empty the Warrens here somewhere. There. Okay. Interesting. Opponent's on 6. So we know about Empty. Alright, so they have Belcher. They have the LEDs. I think here my only way out is for them to make a mistake with sequencing. One Rite of Flame and now the second. Now, if we Endurance here, I believe they get 3 instead of 4. I think we can force. No. Yeah. Yeah, because now we force these, pitching Endurance. No, but then they just get the mana anyway. Yeah. I was trying to think they couldn't activate in response. Tough. Yeah, I guess my only other play was potentially Endurance on Rite of Flame, so they didn't get the mana from the second one, but they did have a mana floating at the end anyway, so I actually don't think we had a way to do anything. I was trying to think potentially I could respond to the Chrome Mox Imprint with Force of Vigor, but obviously they just didn't need it, so that's pretty tough. Alright, let's look over the deck. A 2-3 finish is probably what I would expect with a bit of a brew. What would I change? What are we looking to do? We're looking to Witherbloom and Chain of Smog. We do have a lot of ways to find Witherbloom, so we do have a lot of virtual copies, which is nice. we don't have many virtual copies of Chain of Smog. So I think that if we were going to go down this route, we would look at most likely having 4 and 4. Like, they are just the way to get there. And then we obviously have other ways to find Witherbloom, which is really nice. The other thing that I would like to do is just have a Wasteland in the deck. There's a lot of times today where I found that I think having a Wasteland is quite good. And I think that the spot for that is probably... I don't mind the fetch lands, but I think it's probably an actual Bayou. But I could seeing it actually just being a Verdant. And having the Wasteland. Even having 2. Like, I think it's quite nice to have at least 2 in your deck. Which obviously makes the Reclaimers better. It makes the Ramanap a lot better as well. The Snuffouts were good. Double Grist is nice. I could see the deck just running 1 Grist, going down on an Ignoble Hierarch, so it's just a 3-3 split. And that means we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways to accelerate on turn 1, which is really nice. Or I guess if you want to put it like this because of Dryad Arbor. The Snuffouts were good. But obviously against the deck like mono red or blue red, they're actually quite aggressive, and the 4 life does add up. I do like the Safekeeper. The Reclaimers are tough. Reclaimer is obviously a card you kind of want to build around, and although we do have Cradles to find, I think you just need a little bit more to really get the most out of a full playset of Reclaimers. Like, we have no Dark Depths combo, we have no Sajiri Steps, we have no Flagstones to try to actually ramp with the Reclaimers either, which is pretty tough. So I could definitely see something like going down on 2 Reclaimers. I kind of want to fit in like Profane Tutor and just try it out. I don't believe I have any, but I think Profane Tutor would be kind of cool. The other card is just, of course, good old Thoughtseize, which I think like feels like it would be quite good in this deck. The one thing that I don't like about Cabal is that it can miss, and I think on this deck you just can't afford that. That's why I do like Thoughtseize. Also, if Cabal misses, you're down a card, and then if you sack a creature to flash it back, just doesn't feel like you're in a position where you're getting true value out of it. So I could see something like, instead of Grand Abolisher, having potentially another Safekeeper, or just relying on that Safekeeper the whole time. I do like the Opposition Agent, I do like the Plague Engineer. The Veils were okay, but not groundbreaking. I do like the thought of... Deafening Silence is tough because it also stops us from being able to combo off, because I believe it's... Maybe it actually gets through. I'm not sure if copy is the same as cast, and so I feel like Deafening Silence potentially might not actually stop Chain of Smog Witherbloom. That's quite interesting. Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just want to stick on this. I still like having some amount of Green Sun's targets. In Oof is great because it can just win the game. Outland Liberator I could see coming to the board. And with 56 cards, like, I wouldn't mind a Baroque Decay or something like that. Or just running the full 4 Thoughtseize in the main deck, and that's your 60. And then just having a really nice, clean way to have your combo, protect your combo, remove threats, find your combo, and then making sure that the Green Suns package is nice and tight, and really just making sure that, okay, Collector Oof is obviously a fantastic card to get. It can just win games. Grist is a great card by itself. Ramanap is nice with Wasteland, but I could see where it's not there. Obviously, Ramanap with Dryad Arbor as well is quite nice for Fiend Artisan. Endurance, just an amazing card. This also leaves some sideboard. Also leaves some sideboard cards, which is nice. I really think like Leyline is probably needed, like having some sort of graveyard hate. I don't think Bog by itself is good enough, and you could just do 4 Leylines, and then you have 4 Leylines, Opposition Agent, Plague Engineer, Grist, 4 Civic as an Outland Liberator. Endurances are still great, but I could see like an extra Swords, because like you do have the 2-for-1 quite often in this deck with the amount of green cards there are, but I think in this deck you just gotta have really hard hitting sideboard cards like Leyline, like Agent, like Plague Engineer. Yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, I think Profane Shooter would be really interesting to play around with, especially because it can find Chain. I'm trying to think of another way to find Chain, but I think the biggest weakness of this deck is that you don't have great ways to find each piece, and that actually reminds me that I would love to play Sylvan Library in this. I think Sylvan Library is fantastic because it allows you to dig for either piece of the combo. It allows you to obviously dig for removal as well if needed. And yeah, I think it just suits really well. I probably wouldn't have 3, but I probably wouldn't mind having 2 in the deck. Potentially just moving the Thought Seizers to the board, and then we have 2 spots left. We could bring back the Grist to have 2 Grist. We could bring back the Outland Liberator, and then we could just cut 1 Thoughtseize, and actually now we're looking pretty good. We have the Swords for fair decks, we have the Plague Engineer for fair decks, we have Force of Vigor to deal with pesky cards in any sort of like 8 cast or lands, etc. I think this is quite nice. I think what I really want to find is just where can we get consistency, because as we saw today, like it's going to happen with any non-blue deck where you don't have cantrips. Witherbloom by itself is not good enough. Chain of Smog by itself is just not good enough. But of course when together, pretty nice. So I think something like this is where I would probably move towards having some really obviously powerful cards in the sideboard, and making sure that the consistency is there in the main deck. Yeah, a huge thank you to Joe for sending me the list. Of course, if you are interested in donation deck lists, you can find a page on the Green Sun Zenith going about what the different tiers are. And yeah, really cool to see new innovation. I love this sort of thought with Maverick, not Death and Taxes, and just where things can go. Because I think it's in 2023, it is really powerful to have an I win button. I've said it many times. Naya Depths has Marit Lage, Elves has Natural Order into Atraxa or Craterhoof. Goblins has like Turn 2 Muxus. Maverick just doesn't really have that at the moment, and I think that testing the waters of things like Witherbloom and Chain of Smog, or going towards like a small package of Natural Order or Dark Depths is really cool. So yeah, a big thank you to Joe for the list. I really enjoyed it. A few little things I could have done differently, like even still that game against Cursecatcher in Merfolk, and obviously not green setting for Dried Arbor first to play around Cursecatcher was just, yeah. But we learn, and I think that there is probably something here. It's just a case of finding what it is, and if Profane Shooter might be the card that we want to go towards. But yeah, a huge thank you, and I'll catch you next time.